Hi, and welcome everyone. It's Jennifer Britton. Thanks for joining me for another Reconnecting Workspaces book club call. Super excited to be joining you today from a new summer remote work location. And some of you might notice that this is a little different than my usual. I'm pleased to note that I have joined a co-working space for the summer so that I can also benefit from better internet, because that of course is always a must for the remote space, as well as that collective energy created in a physical environment. So that's part and parcel of what we're talking about at Reconnecting Workspaces. How do we work in a hybrid world where we may be in an office some days, where we may be working from home on others? And as today's Reconnecting Workspace book club call, I wanted to take us into part of the book. So you can see it here, pick up a copy at your local Amazon. And today's topic is July 5th, 2021. It's all about 3 ideas for reconnecting. As different workspaces open up all around the world, we are on different timelines and every organization is looking much, much different. I have been sharing a lot of the latest research, which is literally coming out in droves right now over at the Virtual Remote Visionaries Hub on Facebook. And if you're not a member yet, do check that out. I think I've got a link to it later on. If you haven't met me before, I'm Jennifer Britton. I'm the author of 6 business books, including my latest, Reconnecting Workspaces, Pathways to Thrive in the Virtual, Remote, and Hybrid World. And this book is a pretty robust, I've got it just over here, one sec. It's a pretty robust 440-page book, 21 chapters exploring everything from building relationships to getting accelerated results, dealing with conflict, and also looking at project management in the virtual, remote, and hybrid world. So my intent with these book club calls is to introduce you to Reconnecting Workspaces, as well as provide you with a content-rich, hopefully practical tool, tip, or idea that you can be taking back into your work right away. So whether you're a coach who is supporting teams and organizations right now, or you are leaders or team members in those organizations, I hope that you will find these useful. Just a little bit about the book, as I shared 21 different chapters, and the 21st chapter really is a synthesis of everything. So the first 20 chapters each have a principle for virtual, remote, and hybrid work, a myth that's been shattered. I also include a team tool in that, as well as a brain tip, because we do know that we want to work with the brain. Certainly looking at how complex the environment has been, it's really critical that we work in all of our streaming so that we're not coming up against any resistance. One of the areas that I've heard from readers already is that they really love the 6 questions that I include in every chapter. And so these questions are meant to spark you around the content from each chapter. Now, today's topic is 3 ideas for reconnecting. And in that 3 ideas, it's going to give you a cross-sectoral focus on the book. Finally, the chapters wrap up with a reconnecting tip. And these are things that you can use right away in your work. So let's get going. And if you have picked up a book, definitely make sure that you're checking out the book launch bonuses. For every different set of books that you purchase, you will have access to different resources, including having me come in, join you as a keynote, join you in private coaching, etc. The book is available through most Amazons all over the world. So whether you are here in Canada or across the world in Japan or Australia, definitely pick it up. And you'll find the US link at bit.ly/Reconnecting Workspaces. So idea number 1 that I wanted to share with you today is that results and relationships equal high performance. This is a big focus of the book, and we want to really notice that every team, every organization is going to be across a different section of that results plus relationships. So my invitation to you right now is to think about which of these areas are you focusing on right now in terms of relationships or results. And what I've done is I've picked 5 of the core areas in this book. First off, we start at looking at what are today's workspaces, as well as team effectiveness. And as we know, in team effectiveness, we want to be driving for results and being very clear on what we have to do, but we also need to know who is on the team. In fact, it's that je ne sais quoi, or that component that often is a little elusive. But often, as we start to unpackage it, it really is about people understanding each other, knowing what their strengths are, knowing what their roles are, knowing how roles connect, or perhaps even get in the way of each other. Relationship management is key, and chapter 10 of the book explores no person is an island. And as we look at no person as an island, I'd really like you to think about how you are intimately connected with others in your work. I'm going to just flip forward. I wish I brought this in, but I'm just going to flip forward to the icon of this chapter. And as you can see here, it looks like all these islands are separate, when in fact, they are deeply interconnected underneath the waterline. My guess is on your teams and the teams that you support, the things that are getting in the way are not on the surface. They are deeply entrenched. They're in our ways of working, they're in our agreements, they're in the assumptions, and they're in the beliefs that we hold. And it's these areas, the assumptions, beliefs, patterns, etc., that sometimes we can step back and look at as an intact team, but many times we need to step back and look at it from an external vantage point. This truly is where the benefit of an extended team coaching conversation can come in. Just notice that team coaching, very different than team building. Team building is just that one-off, whereas team coaching, it is about unlayering and going underneath the waterline all the time, deep into those assumptions, beliefs, patterns, etc. So my invite today is for you to think about what are those relational areas that are key. And as you'll see throughout the book, I really continue to focus on this notion of relationships plus results equals high performance. I'd invite you as an individual or as a team to actually scatter plot yourself. I wish I had a whiteboard here, because on that whiteboard, what I'd get you to do is think about where are you in terms of relationships, where are you in terms of results, a high, low, X, Y axes. And again, my guess is that you might be part of multiple teams right now. And as part of those multiple teams, each team has a different focus. Some are probably more focused on relationships. Some may be more focused on results. And what we want to notice is that teams need to cycle through all of those elements. For more on some of this model, and a lot of team development models are grounded in this, including Kazenbach and Smith, also including the work of the wonderful Phil Sundal in his book, Teams Unleashed, where he shares a lot about the Team Coaching International team diagnostic model. If you're not familiar with that book, I'd really encourage you to pick it up, because it does an excellent job on looking at what are our relationships versus what are our results. That's the first idea today. Again, thinking about where are you on that XY axis of relationships and the results. Now, another component, of course, is today's workspace. And as we think about today's workspace, what are those key issues that are helping you thrive, as well as what are the key issues that are getting in the way? I'd like you to think about those, again, perhaps bucketing them out across relationships and results. And just to do a little bit of a focus here, I'm going to stop my share. We're going to bring forward a whiteboard. And I'd like to invite you actually just to frame this out for yourself. So we're going to go like this, and I'd like you just to make a tea table yourself and think about what are the elements which are getting in the way of relationships and results. So we can put our results over here, and then I will put over here relationships. I'm going to invite you to do the same thing as I go. So just to really get you thinking about with your relationships and your results. Let's see, let's clear this here. I'm going to just do this again to make it a little clearer, a little bit bigger. So we've got our T chart here. Easier said than done, of course. All right, here we go again. There we go. And we'll draw another line down. Okay, so as we think about these different things, think about what gets in the way or what comprises this element. So as we think about relationships, some of the things that might come to mind are, what are our strengths? What are our strengths individually? What are our strengths collectively. Related to strengths, we know that we might explore things like our styles or our types. And there are so many great options out there in terms of ways to explore. In fact, in Reconnecting Workspaces, I go into some case studies around different ways to look at styles and types. Another key area that we explore in the book, and certainly the Reconnecting Workspaces coaches can help teams with this, conflict management. Again, this is one of those areas that you may not be wanting to delve into by yourself. Conflict is necessary in any team as an end is inevitable, given that teams are comprised of different components. So what are the things that are going to help you thrive as a team? The next area, of course, is our results. So I'll invite you to continue on that line with relationships. One other area that might be on that list is roles. And I'm actually going to put something like roles and the roles that we play on a team in both relationships and also results. Now, when we get to the topic of roles, Belbin has an excellent framework around roles. I'd invite you to think about it, but even wider than that, think about the roles that are necessary to help your team thrive. Maybe there is the go-getter, someone who really gets into action. Maybe there's the visionary, someone who is really keen on making things happen. Maybe there is also the results focus of evaluation, right? We might have an evaluation specialist. So we know that teams that thrive are great at having relationships and results, and that they are also able to ensure that the roles are fitting the person. So this is why I've put roles on both sides of the equation. We need to know who we are, and we need to know how that our roles leverage our strengths. Now, a challenge in the remote and hybrid space is, are people in the right role? And are people getting role fatigued or in role conflict? Maybe I'm asked to be the fact checker when in fact my natural style is more as a strategic thinker. There might actually be a role conflict there because my natural style is not as attuned to that. So be thinking about who you and what roles are necessary for the different elements. And as we look at roles and results, you might also be thinking about other areas in the results spectrum, things like goals and how clear are our goals. You'll notice with roles and goals, these are some of the 6 factors that I talk about in terms of the 6 factors for high performance. And we do want to make sure that we're getting attuned into what those elements are. So anything else in terms of results? Well, how about feedback? Think about how you can be working with feedback on that. And I'll just put the words feedback. And I would also put things like performance measurement as well. So feedback, and we'll go in here with performance measurement. That's another one. Each one of these could have an hour-long conversation, a 15-minute conversation, or even a 5-minute conversation, whether you're doing a one-on-one or whether you're doing a team meeting. So my invite this week is you think about this topic is to think about how your relationships and results are coming together to focus on high performance. And with that, let's go back to our slides. And I want to take you into another idea. So idea 1 was what builds results and relationships. Idea number 2 is that it's about the entire team. And just like these strands, teams are as strong as its weakest link. If you take a look at chapters 3 and 4 of Reconnecting Workspaces, you'll find that chapter 3 is all about, I'm going to just flip forward so that I've got it here. Well, chapter 4 is the tapestry of teams. So a virtual team of individuals. And within that chapter, we go into team culture, team practices, team habits, activities as well for helping teams identify what's unique. And this can probably be a focus area of a future call, because we do want to help teams understand how they are distinct, but how they are knotted together. And you'll notice in chapter 3, which is all about focusing on team effectiveness, it really is about the knot. As Ralph Waldo Emerson noted, no member of a crew is praised for the rugged individuality of his or her rowing. And this is critical. We want to make sure that we know who the entire team is and how they fit together. Many of you are familiar with the work of the Digital Dozen, and these, of course, are my characters that show up in the Remote Pathways world, and these were the inspiration for Reconnecting Workspaces. There are a series of books that will be coming out, including more on the Digital Dozen. And so as you think about your team, you might have a team like this, team of new remote workers, virtual team leaders, remote entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, virtual facilitators, and also others like Alex, who's working from anywhere. So idea number 3, it's about regular reconnection with intention and focus. And teams do not naturally have a connection without an intentionality. And you'll notice at the end of chapter 2, the Reconnecting the Workspaces tip, be intentional. I'm just going to read from page 38. Being intentional is a key principle for remote and virtual work. We need to be intentional in building in pauses between meetings so we can get out of our chair. We need to be intentional and proactive in forming relationships. We need to be intentional about outcomes, as winging it is much harder in the virtual, remote, and hybrid space. Intentionality is also about thinking about the environment we want to create. Part of the workspace transition can be about reimagining the workspace and what's possible. What do you want to be intentional around? And it's really key that we look at what is it about regular reconnection, etc. So we want to be focused, we want to be intentional, and that can take some time. So idea number 3 today is about thinking about your regular reconnection touch points and how that may come together. So part of intentionality is being clear on your principles. And as an organization, as a team, what are the principles that are going to ground you? As I share at the end of chapter 1, there are certain principles here at Potentials Realized as a virtual business that ground us no matter what we do. So I'll just share from page 21 some of our principles, and I hope that this might spark you with some new ideas. What are yours? So as I write on page 21, there are many fundamental elements to exceptional virtual, remote, and hybrid work. Regardless of the changes, our principles become anchor points. The foundational anchor points which ground our work at Potentials Realized include digital delivery, less is more, team connections, learning always, engaging regularly, trusting connection, digital dialogue, not just digital delivery, virtual first, and strong process. And these principles and foundational elements are important to our work with organizations and businesses, whether we're working with a solopreneur, leader, or coach. So what are the principles and foundational elements that ground your work? And how do these help you stand out? Stand out physically, stand out virtually, stand out in the hybrid world. So that's what I wanted to share with us today. I hope that you have enjoyed this. And again, just to recap our 3 areas today, we've talked about the reconnection tip. Okay, so regular reconnection. We've also talked about being focused on the entire team. And finally, our first one is about building results and relationships. When you pick up a copy of Reconnecting Workspaces, you're going to see this as a theme moving through all 21 chapters. And really, these are anchored in the work that we do. It's not just me, but as many of you know, I've been training up a whole cohort or army of Reconnecting Workspaces coaches because I can't do this alone. As billions of people go back into the workspace, whether it is physical, whether it is hybrid, or whether it is virtual, it's really an opportunity to set things up differently. And so I've been working this summer already since the middle of June, just a week after the book launched, to build this army of Reconnecting Workspaces certified coaches. I hope that you will take a look at who those people are. They're going to be listed on our website. And these are people who have developed further skills, strategies, and techniques around reconnecting workspaces. So they're really attuned to using the team tools, which you might have heard me talk about in call number 3 of our launch week back in mid-June. They're also really au fait with working with the 5 engagement levers. And these are things that are going to help a a virtual event become not just a meh, but something that's wow and memorable and standing out. So if you haven't checked out the past Reconnecting Workspaces calls, I'm going to invite you to do that. You can find that, of course, at reconnectingworkspaces.com and take a look at those. I'd also invite you right now to think about 2 or 3 people who could benefit from this call. If you're a coach, I want you to spread this within your network. Please use the hashtag Reconnecting Workspaces or use the hashtag Let's Talk Hybrid. If you're in an organization, how can I or one of the many coaches that I've trained up support you? And the beauty of that is we have people in all different parts of the world. So definitely reach out to me, Jennifer Britton, at info@potentialsrealized.com. Again, that's info@potentialsrealized.com. A little bit about the book, and you can download this book flyer over at bit.ly.com/RW book flyer. The future of work is hybrid. Are you ready? I hope that you'll find the book a valuable resource, not only for the coming days, but the coming years. Hybrid is going to be the new way of working. It's not new. Just a reminder that we've been doing this for years, decades, in fact. And what's key and at the heart of it is what we've talked about today. Results plus relationships equals high performance. It's all about the team, and that team is not just a collection of individuals. They really need to see how they weave together, what makes them unique. And then finally, it is also about focusing in on our last area, which, if you'll recall, going back here, it's about the principles that ground you. What helps you stand out, and how are you communicating that? So I hope that you found this useful. And just a reminder that I'll be back. So this is the first of several regular Monday morning calls. They'll happen 10:30 to 11 a.m. Eastern, more or less. You can pick up a copy of the book and you'll see the first 7 chapters here, everything from systems to communication, the triad of trust, safety, and connection, as well as the team effectiveness. Chapters 8 through 15, relationship management, leadership practices, teamwork practices, learning in the talent cycle, onboarding, performance management and feedback, and conflict management. I hope that you've enjoyed today's call. And I'm just going to see, here we are for our list of the upcoming book calls. You're going to notice here, and this is subject to change, so there may be a bit of shift on these. Monday, July the 12th, that's next Monday, I'll be back at 10:30 to look at 5 essential team ingredients for 2021's return to work. Certainly a key topic for so many. Hope that you'll join us. And again, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. On the 19th, rather than the 20th, that's going to be Reconnecting Workspaces, and that's open to everyone. These calls are all open to everyone. I hope that you'll put these in your calendar, 5th, 12th, 19th, 26th, then August 9th and 16th and 23rd. We're going to skip a few weeks for different holidays in different parts of the world. I hope that you will enjoy these and pass them on or share them in your network. So I think that's about it. And if you have not downloaded a bookmark yet, head on over to reconnectingworkspaces.com or email me with your mailing address at info@potentialsrealized.com. I've got several here. I will mail those out to you. It might take a little bit of time, but you'll notice that this bookmark, which is great to mark your spot, where you're going, ways to build trust in the hybrid world. Certainly a key topic for all of us right now. There's our philosophies to wrap up with: trust and connection, less is more, digital dialogue, virtual first, learning always, engaging regularly, team connections, etc. And with that, if you are wanting to join us for coach certification, well, the first one has finished. We've just added cohort 2, which will be starting actually on July 22nd. And that will run until 3rd or 4th week of August. There will also be an intensive August certification, and that will run from August 21st through 24th. Hope I have those dates right. It's the Monday through Thursday of that week. And then pretty much you'll be ready to gear up for September, when so many workspaces are going on and going back to work. So just a reminder, you can find out more about this coach training program, including relevant early bird rates, which is always nice to benefit from, at reconnectingworkspaces.com/coach training. Again, that's reconnectingworkspaces.com/coach training. It is a 24-hour program, which is currently being reviewed by the ICF for continuing coach education hours. So I hope that that will maybe be another benefit to support you in helping you further your career. Join me for future calls. We did, of course, a few weeks ago, not this week, but a few weeks ago, I did the launch calls, and then weekly Monday mornings throughout the summer. So your next steps, join us for the book, pick up a copy at Amazon, contact me directly. You can set up a call at calendly.com/Jen Britton, or you can also join us at the Remote Pathways podcast for some of these many topics that we've been talking about as we move into season 3 of the podcast this fall. That's fall of 2021. I hope that you've enjoyed the new background. I'm really loving my new office space. I'll be here several days of the week and then enjoying the beauty of Muskoka the rest of the time. So with that, thank you, take care, and we'll see you soon. Have a good one and enjoy your summer.